Hello, my name is Leroy Blevins. Welcome to Mysteries and Histories. In this episode here, what I'm going to do is show some more stuff that I uncovered when I was in Dallas a couple weeks ago, and show some more things and stuff like that other people didn't know or even knew about. Just like a lot of things that's been posted out there, and they're showing this and showing that, but they're not really showing us the location or the distance. They're just showing it one image. First thing I want to pull up is this one image right here, which is the Bronson film, the location of where the Bronson film was taken, which we took an image of that. We was in that location. This is where the Bronson, if you watch my cursor, right in this location here is where Bronson was filming from. And this is where he, as you see, the shelter is right here. You see the gunman taking their shots from this location and everything else. So he was right in this location here. Now, another thing I want to point out why we're talking about this, because people sit there talk about these lampposts and stuff like that. A lot of these lampposts, like this one here, and there was another one up here and stuff like that, they wasn't there during the time of the JFK assassination. These things was added in to the surrounding stuff as years went by, because a lot of people mistakes this or this one or that one. They don't see it in the Zapruder film. They say, well, wait a minute, this is way down here, way down there. That's why everybody's getting their confusion of locations, because they're basing everything on what they see today when they're not looking at what it was back then. Plus, I also want to point out right here that a lot of people think that the state or the county or whatever places these X's right here and right here, because they have two X's on Elm Street. These X's were not placed there by the county or anything else. These X's were placed there by researchers. The first one to actually place X's in these locations was Robert Groden. Robert Groden's one to start placing the X's on Elm Street. Okay, and then right now, other people, I guess, been taking over, placing the X's back every time they redo the road. Okay, they don't have the X's marked back in there. One of these researchers or somebody who works for Mr. Groden or whatever goes ahead and put these X's back in these locations. Okay, but these X's are really not exactly where people claims that the shots were. These were based on a researcher's location of where the fatal headshot occurred and where the first shot occurred. Right here, the magic bullet shot occurred here, and the fatal headshot occurred here. This is based on, excuse me, on researchers, these locations. These X's were not placed by the government, the county, or nothing else. These X's were placed there by a researcher. So I want to give people that information out. And a lot of these lampposts here and over here and stuff wasn't there at the time of the JFK assassination as well. So I want to give that information out as well. Now, a lot of people says, well, a gunman was right behind here that took a shot to JFK. And as you see, I'm standing right here behind it. Now, from my research stuff, if a gunman was right behind here and he took a shot, as some researchers claim, we would see JFK going to the left. We should be seeing him going forward, because from this angle here, okay, let me pull this one back up. Excuse me. My allergies are kicking in and everything else. From this angle here, it would have pushed JFK forward. It would have pushed him actually up this way, if you watch my cursor. Not to the left. It would have pushed him actually forward. So there was no shots that actually occurred from behind here as well. These are things I look at when I was there. I had to cover a lot of stuff. Just like when we see this image here as a portrait and everything else. They say, well, look, here's a smoke trail. This is coming from behind a picket fence. Again, I show and I point this out. Now we see the Newmans right here on the ground. This is where the Newmans are at. The smoke is right above their head. So when I was there, again, I went ahead and took this image, lined it up and everything else like that. Here's exactly where the smoke trail was at, which I'm going to point out right here. That smoke that we see in this image right here, okay, smoke here and here, it was exactly in this location here, which is right in front of the shelter. The picket fence is still way over here. And here is the top of the shelter right here. Mr. Zapruder was standing right here. That's right in the same line of fire as we see from the gunman inside shelter number 3. So when they pull up this image and they tell us this is smoke coming from the picket fence, no, it's not. It's actually coming from here, in this location here. This is where it's coming from, right here. It's not coming from the picket fence. It's coming from shelter number 3. I also line that up. Now, also remember, when we see these images like this, remember this? We see it in one film. Lady and a man hits the ground, and then the man jumps up. Oops, let's go back. The man jumps up right here, and he starts looking off to his left, right? We stood there, and I'm going to show you the view that this guy had. Again, no other researchers done this or went, took the time to do any of this stuff. So I'm going to show you his view and what he was looking at when he turned his head to the left, as we see right here. Well, it should be his left, I should say. And here is his view. Right there. This will be his view. My son was standing right here in his exact location. And he took this image right here. What is he staring at? He's staring at shelter number 3. So you see, when I was there, I lined up everything. I started going in certain locations. I took the image from the side of the shelter where the gunman, the side right here of the shelter, where the gunman took his shot. The gunman took his shot from this window here. I went over this film here and said, well, there's 2 people standing right here, and we stopped. We was in their location. And said, well, he jumped up and he ran to this pedestal right here. So let me get an image from this location, see what he was looking at when he was looking off to his left. And as you see, is shelter number 3, not the picket fence. Everybody says, oh, he was looking towards the picket fence area. You can't even see the picket fence area from this location. You see what I'm saying? All you're doing is seeing shelter number 3, and that's what he's looking at, shelter number 3. So you see, again, there's more things that I'm presenting in my evidence and in my research and stuff like that a lot of other researchers will not take the time to do, because you think if a researcher will sit there and say, hey, here's a gunman, here's a guy right here, jumps up, we see in the film, he's looking towards a picket fence. So this shows us that there's a gunman behind a picket fence area. But if a researcher takes time out and says, well, let's go to this location here where this man's standing, and let's see what he's seeing. Okay, let's look at what he's seeing from this location. You'll see it's not the picket fence area, it's actually shelter number 3. So you see what I'm saying? They'll tell you the story. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to people telling stories and people talking about this kind of stuff. They'll show you one image and they'll put a story to that one image, like this image here. This man and woman sitting here, and all of a sudden they drop down the ground. He jumps up and he starts looking over the picket fence area at the gunman behind a picket fence. Okay, but when you go and look at that location, you stand where this guy's standing at, and you look and you see, wait a minute, you can't even see the picket fence from there. What you see is shelter number 3. This is what he's looking at, shelter number 3, where the 2 gunmen were. Okay, but they're not going to show you this, because if they show you this, they show you his view, which in my research, I'll show people these views. I show people this kind of evidence because they need to see it for themselves, not just from my perspective, but they need to see it themselves, just like I point out here. We see the guy looking that direction. What is he looking at? They're telling us it was a picket fence area, but when we stand in that location, we look that way, we see it's actually shelter number 3. The picket fence is still way over on this side. If you look at my cursor, watch the cursor, the picket fence is still way on this side of shelter, and it's going out more the other way, because remember the angle of it. So he's actually looking at shelter number 3. But they're not going to sit there and come to this location. A researcher's not going to go to this location, because if he goes to this location and he takes a picture of the location that he's looking at, and it shows us the shelter there they're looking at, well, that ruins their theory on the guys looking at the gunman behind the picket fence. Am I correct? So they're going to say, well, here's the thing. Here's the image. This guy's looking over at the picket fence area, and leave it alone. Let's don't go see if he's looking at the picket fence area. Because when they go there and stand there, and this is what gets me, some of the researchers, even like Mr. Groden, sorry to say this, but this is one of the things he points out as well. He's pointing over this direction, looking at the picket fence. He's there every day. I don't see why he couldn't stand over there just for a couple seconds. Or anybody who goes to Dealey Plaza, go there and look at it and say, hey, stand right here. Well, that's shelter number 3. That's not the picket fence that he's looking at. But they don't want to take this time. They don't want to go in detail They don't want to go in depth or in detail to see this. So that's the reason why when I went down there, there's a lot of things I had to prove to show people different angles. That's why I went to these people's locations and took images of what Dealey Plaza looks like today compared to theirs right there, so we could see from their location stuff. Just like when I did the Bronson film, okay, he was staying in this location right here, and I'm giving you his view as well, right along with everything else. So I'm giving everybody's view and everybody's point of view, okay, from different locations. This is what I want to do. This is what I got to present to the people, so they know this information as well. So in the description down below, you always find a site where you can order my book, Evidence of Conspiracy, the only book you ever need in JFK assassination. Plus, you still have the site where I still have up. It's till the 18th, 10th or 18th of next month, excuse me. One of them days. I think it's the 10th of next month. The GoFundMe account where if you want to make a $30 donation on the documentary, $30 donation gets you a free copy of $30 or more gets you a free copy of the DVD plus your name in the credits as support for the documentary and stuff like that. So, you know, like I said, it's going to take me some time. I'm getting a lot more information in. I've been receiving donations in the mail for the documentary. I want to thank everybody for them and everything else. I have been receiving them. Okay, their names are definitely already in the credits as it is. I already got their names in the credits and stuff like that. The people already made their donations and stuff like that. Their names are already into the credits and stuff like that, but we're still adding more to it. And I want to show you this real quick. As we see this guy right here. This is the guy that was, you know, trying to get in my face and everything else. This is him right here. So I had got another picture of him because, like I said, a lot of images I got has him in it because he's got to make sure he's in there. But anyway, he's not going to be in the documentary. I cut him out. So anyway, in the description down below, you find 2 sites where you can make either donation or buy my book, Evidence of Conspiracy, own book you ever need in JFK assassination. Don't forget that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to tell your friends about us. Share this information and all the other information from my other videos on your social medias to your friends, family, and relatives, so they may know this information and stuff like that. Because, like I said, there's a lot of information in my videos and stuff like that. If you view them and stuff, you'll get a lot more from my videos and stuff like that. Because, like I said, the documentary, when it's coming out, when it does come out, it's going to be the best documentary ever made in JFK assassination. So again, don't forget that like button, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to tell your friends about us. Thank you, and you all have a pleasant day.